everybody to Shakiano because it's really been a while since we've had this. Shakiano, Kiamanu, Kikianu, grateful God for giving us life, for sustaining us and bringing us to this occasion. And now we have some bread. Let's say the Mosey. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. V'te'avon.
Laughing at the midnight show and Tina's jokes, and everyone was asking, it's a con where the pros low camera let it go. Your friends will give you shots.
Today we celebrate 109 years of the Hebrew Free Loan of Washington State, and we don't look a day over 100. Please raise your glass and celebrate with me. Join me in saying L'chaim. Well done. Founded by immigrants blocked from obtaining financial resources from traditional lending channels, the Hebrew Free Loan was created in the 1890s to serve the Jewish community's need for capital to build their homes and businesses in their new country. The Hebrew Free Loan of Washington State is now one of the oldest in the country, established in 1914. In 2023, we remain a tremendously valuable safety net for our community. We are also, sorry, the champagne bubbles are coming on me. We are also a proud member of the International Association of Jewish Free Loans. When we as individuals support organizations like the Hebrew Free Loan, we are achieving the highest level of giving according to Maimonides' ladder of giving, which has 7 levels. The Hebrew Free Loan achieves the highest rung on the ladder, being that we as a community create a pool of money that is collectively anonymous with the purpose of helping people to help themselves. Giving with dignity is at the core of what we do and who we are. Our money stays in the community. Our loan programs represent the pinnacle of recycling and sustainability lasting for generations. I'd like to introduce you to the board members because this is an organization that's thrived off volunteerism. They all generously donate their time, energy, and resources to maintain the continuity and growth of this community. Jim, I'm going to ask you to stand, please, now. These are all volunteer board members. Julia Alvarez. Yeah. Linda Bird. David Berkman. Ellie Berniker. There he is. Rachel Franco. Chelsea Glick, who's not here today. Carrie Haas. Bill Humphrey. My guy, Louis Isquith. He's been on the board longer than me. Lou Kotler. Sam Mizastrano. Dave Scherzer. And Judy Scher. I'd also like to welcome some of our former board members who are also here today. Shoshana Horn Gauthier, did I say your name right? Hey. Florence, thank you, Shoshana. Florence Kaz-Burstein, welcome. Arthur Krilloff, are you here? There he is. And Ruth Sassoon. Without all of these people, and we would not be here today. So thank you all. At this time, I want to introduce our board president, Carrie Haas. Carrie exudes passion for service in everything she does. She's a leading real estate professional in the greater Seattle area and a native to the Pacific Northwest. She's also a mother of 3 and sits on many boards in our community, focusing her interests on summer camps, schools, the homeless, art, culture, and Jewish philanthropy. I feel like that covers everything, by the way. Okay. As the current board member, Carrie utilizes her well-honed marketing skills to increase awareness about the Hebrew Free Loan. She's committed to providing real help when our community needs it most. On a personal note, I've known Carrie for almost 20 years, beginning at the Jewish day school where our kids attended. We also share a love of Jewish family camp experiences at Camp Solomon Schechter and Camp Collinsman, where we went for that school. I recruited Carrie to join the board 5 years ago with Mara, so it is really a great honor and pleasure that I introduce my friend and the Hebrew Free Loan Board President today, Carrie Huss.
Hi everybody, can you hear me? I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here for this important and fulfilling mission we call the Hebrew Free Loan Association, and for our first get-together after COVID. It's been too long, it's so good to see all of your faces. The mission is, of course, to help those of us in need, but we're doing so much more than just helping people, which, in itself is noble and just and absolutely necessary if we are to preserve and observe the traditions of our ancestors that they handed down to us. But we're giving people hope, we're spreading love, and we're teaching our people that no matter what, we're here to lift them up a little, when they need it. So I know this only too well, because as most of you already know, I was an HFLA recipient back in the 90s when I was a single mom and needed a little bit of help myself. And I've had a lot of tragedy in my life, but HFLA has been there for me when I needed it most and allowed me to stand on my own 2 feet and become an active community member and successful person that I am today. And so that's why HFLA is so important to our community. And it's different from the other amazing Jewish organizations that we have in our community, many of them who are represented here today. But there's so many Jews from all different walks of life that find themselves needing a little bit of help now and then for many different reasons. And, we are here to support them, and this isn't a great analogy, but we're not here to give them a fish, we're here to teach them how to fish, and we give them hope really that, that those fish will be caught. So really, we're here to help them in a different way than some of the other awesome organizations that we have, so it fits a different need. And this year alone, we've had over double the requests that we've had for loans. Jews from all over Washington have needed help avoiding eviction. They've needed help with rising rent, which has been huge. The increases are incredible, as well as car repairs, dental work. Some of our people have started small businesses or needed help with closing costs on a home purchase, as well as medical costs and so many more things. The needs are many, and the urgency really, it's real. And the real proof of our work is the many, many success stories, as well as our incredible repayment rate, which is far higher than a bank, because we're a tightly woven community. We're a mishpacha, we're a family. And we see those results as we provide the financial assistance to individuals, because the former borrowers, they become donors. Former borrowers become volunteers, and former borrowers become board members. And I know we have a few of us in the room here as well. But the general loan program is critical to help people from falling through the cracks. And we at HFLA remain committed to continuing this program, but we really need your help. You can help by spreading the word, because it's amazing how many people don't even realize what we do here. So talk about HFLA with your friends and family. Of course, if you can, donate, but get involved and encourage others to get involved. Because it's honestly one of the most rewarding things that I do. I know you know that I'm involved in a lot of communities, or a lot of of our community. But I am extremely honored and humbled to be able to give back as others have given to me. Because this isn't a thankless job. This is a really thankful job. And I'm really glad to be able to do it for other people like myself. So I know Pam already touched on it, but HFLA was incorporated in 1914. And at that time, they focused solely on providing loans for new settlers. But those donations that were given back then have been recirculating since 1914, and it's totally conceivable that the founding generation's donations are still supporting our community today. So helping students to afford higher education, helping a family keep a roof over their head, starting a business, and so many other things. I mean, it's pretty amazing to think that a $1 donation back in 1914 is still being used today. And that's really Lador Vador. So thank you all so much for being here, and Kola Kavod for supporting this great organization today, so that our people, including you, can sleep better at night knowing someone has their back, and we're here to help each other, when we need it a little bit. So Yasher Koach, and thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Enjoy
Good morning. Thank you, Carrie and Pamela, and it's nice to see all of you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and for being here. It has been 3 years since we hosted an in-person gathering, and a lot has happened at Hebrew Free Loans since then. 3 years ago, we were on the cusp of launching a new loan program for students, with the goal to offer a fair and more equitable resource for higher education. Our program would be an alternative to the existing student loan programs that charge high interest rates, origination fees, and penalties for borrowing and late payments. We wanted to create a program based on our Torah-centered lending practices, which command that we do not charge interest fees to our Jewish community, and for which we already applied for our general needs loans. We viewed a student loan program as a natural evolution of our history and mission. Fast forward to today. In 3 short years, we have provided approximately $400,000 to Jewish students in Washington State. HFLA has proudly invested in the futures of roughly 45 students in our community with help from you. How did we do so much in such short measure? When COVID entered our lives, HFLA rose to the occasion. Instead of pulling back our programming, we forged ahead with our initiatives. We greeted the moment as an opportunity, knowing that the need would now be greater. And we launched not 1, but 2 full higher education programs. The first is the Student Access Fund loan that we call SAP. And the second new program is a scholarship program for students of Jewish nonprofit employees. These are big, costly programs. And the Student Access Fund loan, which has no fees, it is a free loan. It's the only one of its kind in Washington. These 2 education programs are designed to holistically support the diversity of talent, aptitude, and skills in our student community. At HFLA, we know we are serving a broad base of students, and our programs can be used to pursue vocational and technical degrees, as well as undergraduate and graduate degrees. Affording education after high school stretches even the largest of wallets. It's hard on all of us. We wanted our programs to be useful, to truly make a difference to the students as they try to pay for school. The staff loan provides up to $7,500 in an interest-free, no-fee loan. The scholarship provides up to $6,500, and this year we will also provide scholarships to students with demonstrated need. Of the nearly 50 students we have helped since 2020, none are alike. The students have a wide range of majors, from architecture to physics. The students are studying all over the country at colleges and universities, from Bellevue College and UW to Harvard on the East Coast. We know our programs are beneficial and appreciated because students openly share testimonials with us, and many of them and their parents ask if they can have a second home. Unfortunately, at this time, we only have enough funds for one staff home per student, but maybe in future years, with your help, that will change. Our higher education programs will be opening for applications soon. So if you look at the back of your programs, the open application dates are listed. If you know someone in the Jewish community who may be interested in applying, please pass along these dates. We are proud of what we've been able to do in Washington State for students and their families. And we are equally proud and honored by the many donors and foundations who have trusted us to do this important and significant work. We look forward to continuing this work and being a part of the solutions to help the next generation lead independent, financially secure, and happy lives. So I want to now introduce three people to you. The first is Ozzie Goldstein. He's a senior at the University of Washington. And you're welcome to come up, Ozzie. Ozzie is a recipient of both our scholarship and our staff loan. He's a very thoughtful young man who read all of the applications for all of these wonderful programs, and Ozzie stood out very top among them. So I hope you'll enjoy listening to him today. I also want to introduce his parents, Rabbi Johanna Kimber, the rabbi for Kolomi at Center for Jewish Life. And unfortunately for Ozzie, his father's also a rabbi. And I'd also like to introduce Rabbi Seth Goldstein.
It is difficult having two for the struggle. Amazing. Well, thank you all for being here to support this wonderful organization. I can't thank you all enough for what HFLA has done for me. The money, the scholarship, and the loan. I'll say a few words. Thank you to Mara for all the wonderful work she does. Thank you to my parents, of course, for telling me about this opportunity in the first place. As I near the end of my undergraduate career, I've been reflecting on what's gotten me here and what will eventually push me through to the end. My friends, my family, but really what stands above all is community and being part of such a vibrant, rich, and energizing, generous community that has given me the strength to get me through such a challenging time in my life. The best part of being in a community, in my opinion, is that they're there for me, whether I know it or I don't, sometimes whether I want them to be or not. But I didn't know that there would be assistance for specifically people like me, parents who work in Jewish nonprofits, very specific, but for me that works out well. That helped me to finish paying for my undergrad, and in a time of such high inflation rates and interest rates, the student access fund, the free loan, put me at ease to settling my debts. I'm studying philosophy at UW, and when I was talking to someone about this, they said that given my major and given my parents' occupation, that I was on track to rabbinical school. So I changed my major. I added to it environmental studies because the question got me thinking about what was Jewish about what I was studying, and I realized that whether I had known it or not, the moral, the value of tikkun olam, preparing the world, had been driving me throughout my life, always prompting me to think and reflect on how is what I'm doing, how is what I'm saying, making the world, restoring it back to what it should be. And I think the truth is that I'm not studying ecology or wildlife or Plato or Spinoza. I'm studying tikkun olam. That's the core of what I've dedicated my academics to. And I think that the concept of repairing the world is distinct from the mantra of making the world a better place, because it acknowledges that the world is already a good place. It's already the best place. It's already the only place that we have. And all it needs is for us to fix it, restore it back to what we know it can be. This is evident when we see habitats restored, or hungry people fed, or all of you donating to this wonderful organization, or when I put my financial aid to good use. And we might not see the world repaired in our lifetime, and it might seem like there's more being broken than is being repaired, but I have to stop myself from dwelling on how large the project of tikkun olam is and focus on what I can do for myself. Study what I can teach about these values, pass them on to the next generation with the strength of myself, with the strength of my family and my community, because I think it's easier than we think. Remember, it's not about creating something better, it's just about repairing what we already know is good. And so there I just gave a sermon, so maybe I won't consider the clinical school. But I know that HFLA will be there for me when I do it. Thank you.
First, you can tell me how incredibly proud we are of Ozzy and the work that he is bringing to the world. And it's just been a wonderful thing watching your children become adults. Because he never tells us anything, so we have to come to events like this and see him shine. So thank you for giving him this opportunity. Giving us this opportunity. It's a real blessing. And I think that we are so incredibly grateful for this organization, both in the sense that it is a mutual aid organization for the Jewish community that really sees as its mission, as it's mentioned since the early days, to be able to support the Jewish community in so many different ways, and how important that is for us to come together as a community and support each other in real ways, especially as challenges. And also, too, in this, especially with the higher education, we personally benefited as a family, and that we are grateful for that, supporting Ozzy in his journey and his learning. And just the idea that the Jewish community comes together to support our students, our higher education students within our community, and this being another institution that makes them who they are. And also, too, we are incredibly grateful, both Johan and I see our work as rabbis in our community as a great covenant, a sacred partnership, and to know that it is part of the mission of the Hebrew Free Loan Association to support those like us who are in service to the community is just a tremendous blessing and a tremendous gift, and something that is a gift. It's a real gift to know that we as Jewish professionals, as those who have given our lives to the Jewish community, to be able to see in real, tangible ways the Jewish community supporting us is just really, really wonderful. So we so deeply appreciate that. And just to say that, as mentioned, you're not just helping a student become what they want to be and go through their higher education, but you're helping somebody bring Jewish values into the world, and that is tremendous. So thank you all.
For the vibrant Jewish community here in the Pacific Northwest, if Ozzy does become a rabbi, it will be a rabbinic dynasty. Pacific Northwest rabbinic dynasty. My father, and then Seth and I, and then Ozzy would make 3 generations of recollection. What you all do is nurture Jewish life in this area. And I look out, I know so many people in this room, and so many of you have contributed contributed to my life, Ozzy's life, all of our lives in so many ways. And thank you so much for uplifting, upholding this organization, which is one of the oldest Jewish organizations in America. Still growing strong, creating beautiful Jewish life here. So thank you all so very much.
Serving on this board is very humbling. When we interview applicants, it's not just that we're doing something good, it's we're receiving something so much greater also. We are humbled, brings us back down to earth, and it reminds us too when some of us have also struggled. So it's really a very special organization. Our next speaker is Ambassador Susie Levine. Did I say that right? She is currently a senior fellow at Brown University teaching seminars on the power of the states and the future of work, workplace culture, and practices. As a senior executive with over 25 years experience leading global organizations across government, corporate, and not-for-profit sectors. She is currently a board director for Publicus Group, an advisory board member for Open Classrooms, and serves on the not-for-profit boards of CareerWise USA, Research Improving People's Lives, and the Thomas Jefferson Foundation. This woman never sits down. She developed I have a long bio here, you better have a drink. She developed landmark programs promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and catalyzed innovative workforce systems such as apprenticeship and paid family and medical leave. She brings to her work valuable experience and insights into human capital retention and developing the workforce of the future. Most recently, she was the Acting Assistant Secretary for the U.S. Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration, the ETA. And prior to that, the Commissioner for Washington State's Employment Security Department. She led both organizations through significant crises and change as they navigated the pandemic. At ETA, she ran the nation's unemployment insurance apprenticeship, Job Corps, workforce development, and foreign labor certification systems, and at ESD delivered over $14 billion in unemployment benefits in 10 months, and built Washington's paid family and medical leave program. That's almost a mic drop right there. As ambassador, Susie established strategic partnerships with the Swiss government and multinational corporations, increasing investment by $3 billion and securing commitments from Swiss industry to build non-traditional apprenticeships in the U.S. These public sector successes leveraged her experiences working both at Microsoft, where she secured industry partnerships, and Expedia, where she led communications, including for Expedia's IPO. Susie has degrees in English and mechanical engineering from Brown University and an honorary doctorate from the École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne. Really bad. She lives in Seattle with her husband, children, and dog, all of whom cherish the outdoors. And here she is.
I'm just Susie. Thank you so much, Pamela, for that introduction. And thank you so much, Maura, for inviting me to be here with this exceptional group and for this extraordinary organization. I am so humbled to be here, especially during this time frame between Purim and Pesach, when it's stories about how we thrive and how we survive despite a lot of challenges. And I just want to take a moment. Ozzy, I wish that you could have seen your parents. Their Nafas meter was redlining as they were standing beside you, especially when you were talking about Tikkun Olam. And thank you so much for so clearly articulating that important value as a Jew. Really appreciate that and appreciate what you're doing to also spread that to your fellow students. Thank you. You're here because you're dedicated to helping students access the resources they need to pursue higher education. Thank you. I'm here today because I have a confession that I want to share with you. So I'm Susie Levine, and the Susie Levine of 2013 thinks the Susie Levine of today is an absolute nut job. I believe that the path to success has many beginnings, and they do not all start with a college degree. Often as an ambassador, the work that you do, I know a lot of people think we're just drinking mimosas and eating bonbons. We actually do a bit of work too. When you're an ambassador, the work that you do is often just solely based in the country to which you're posted. I had the blessing that the work that I did really had a lot of value here in the homeland, in the United States. And it's ironic that being in Switzerland helped me discover more paths to the American dream, and to bring those back along with 1,000 chaptis to the United States when I returned here in 2017. And I know you all share that goal of expanding those paths to the American dream. You would find so many other things to do on a Sunday morning if you weren't. We're going to come back to the solution that I found in a second, but I want to talk about why specifically the Swiss solution matters here in the US. The economic conditions in the United States in 2014, when I landed there, were pretty similar to what we have today. And those conditions are that there are over $1.7 trillion in student debt currently being borne by over 43 million borrowers. Only 40% of Americans today get a 4-year college degree. That doesn't mean the other 60% are knuckleheads. We currently have 11 million jobs going unfilled for lack of skills in the US. And we have an increasing number of jobs that don't require a university degree, and they're focusing more on skills. In fact, IBM, more than half of their jobs don't have a degree in the job description. We also have an increasing number of people who need reskilling later in their careers as their jobs change and go away. And lastly, frankly, innovation is outpacing education. The work you're doing here at the Hebrew Free Loan Association is really key to addressing some of those circumstances. You're helping Jewish students from the Pacific Northwest reduce the risk of going to college by not having to take on enormous and expensive debt. And because your funds can be used, as Maura was saying, in vocational and technical colleges, along with 4-year colleges and universities, you're helping students pursue more practical education pathways and build skills, as well as more academic degrees. Philosophy's awesome, by the way. That's amazing. And while what you're funding won't tackle the whole challenge, every little bit helps. And as we all know, how do you eat an elephant? One little bite at a time. But I keep kosher, so the paradigm that I'll say, especially given this time of year, is maybe instead you eat an elephant-sized hamantashen, or the world's largest shmura matzah, one bite at a time. You really don't want to eat the whole shmura matzah, trust me. So what can and is happening at scale? Well, there are a number of national efforts to alleviate the burden of post-secondary education affordability, and I very deliberately use that language and not say university degree, but post-secondary education. A couple of examples include Pell Grants now being made accessible for the first time to those who are formerly incarcerated. Or we have student loan forgiveness, and obviously that's a controversial subject right now, but at least there's an effort and a recognition of that burden. Today I want to share with you the path I discovered in Switzerland and that I've been very instrumental in helping pave here ever since: apprenticeship. I'm going to take you on the journey from what I discovered there, why the Swiss model in particular is relevant here in the US, and what, in addition, like I said, to 1 million jobs we brought back. So, the Swiss model of apprenticeship. Have any of you ever seen Swiss apprenticeship? No? Let me ask you a different question. How many of you have taken a shower in the past 3 days? Yeah, not everybody raised their hands. We're going to put you at the same table next time. The reason why, okay, maybe I'll ask one other question then. How many of you have cash or have used cash sometime in your life? Okay, you therefore have interacted with the products of Swiss apprenticeship. Swiss apprentices help make the ink in all of the currency worldwide, and make the materials for printing presses for cash worldwide. Swiss apprentices work at the companies that do the predominant amount of smells and tastes in the world. Companies you go down at Firmenich are Swiss companies. So in most soap products, there is a little bit of Swiss in there. And I've seen the apprentices making those things. Switzerland, there is only 9 years of mandatory education. There is a culture of career. Starting in the 7th grade, young people go and do company visits, career visits to different organizations. The 8th grade, they do something called schnuppen or sniffing, where they might go for a week or two as like an intern. The 9th grade, they apply, and in the 10th grade, 70 to 80% of all Swiss kids do apprenticeship. What they've done in Switzerland, though, is they've made it very permeable. So it's not tracking, as a lot of people think about, for example, the German system, but instead you can go with your apprenticeship and go on to higher education afterwards. Or you can finish high school or gymnasium, or however you want to call it, college, and then you can go on from there to apprenticeship. It's very permeable. 3 or 4 days a week you're working, and 1 or 2 days a week you're in related schooling. And that means that if you are studying cheese making, you may be studying also microbiology. If you are studying engineering, and as an apprentice as an engineer, you may be also studying physics and math along with that. Every Swiss student also studies financial literacy, knows how to balance their checkbook, and learns citizenship. They know how to vote. I must say I'm a little jealous of them. At Microsoft, I had the chance when I was working there to see 21st century skills and project-based learning. When I was working there, I worked very hard on how do we expand that in education systems. And when I got to Switzerland, what I saw was they had that with this apprenticeship system, plus a paycheck and a whole lot of dignity. And it was truly exceptional. And I realized that those conditions that I talked about before in the United States could be remedied with the expansion of apprenticeship. It's pervasive throughout society. Business, government, academic leaders started their careers as apprentices. The former CEO of Credit Suisse with $3 trillion under management started as an apprentice. 2 of their presidents recently started as farming apprentices. Almost 250 occupations ranging from software to retail to engineers to dressmaking to working in skiing spaces, healthcare workers. You could be on a train and a very young, pimply person comes and takes your ticket. And they are an apprentice or somebody doing their schnooping. The key success factors are businesses as creators, not just consumers of talent. They invest 60% of the funding into the model. Their states invest 30% in the academic elements and the federal government in 10% in the quality management and research to continue to improve it. And those businesses get a 7 to 10% return on their investment over that 3 or 4 year period in that young person. They do co-opetition. The businesses come together. And within every 5 years, they evaluate and update the competencies and the curricula. So that means the Pruzan Corporation that competes rigorously with the Levine Corporation would actually collaborate on what is it that we need to grow the pie instead of eating each other's pieces of pie. And let me tell you, I bet Lucy needs a mean pie. Just saying. They make stuff there. And there's this constant reevaluation of how do you make stuff better. So when you hear people talking about the future of work, I believe that they are the best equipped to address that and understand and value their human capital. The US has always had apprenticeship. Hamilton, Franklin, they were apprentices. And frankly, raise your hand if you are in the legal field. Right? There's a couple people here, lawyers. Until the mid-20th century, lawyers had to be apprentices. They didn't have to go to law school. And that was a part of our society. If you're a physician, you have to do an internship, right? So it can be a deeply embedded part of our history. But the GI Bill, for all its amazing merits, what it did was it elevated higher education as the primary path to success. And we've perpetuated that myth ever since, that it's the only path to succeed. In fact, there are research studies showing how much better people do when they have a higher education degree than if they don't. They actually just become a self-fulfilling prophecy because we have underinvested in keeping this pathway open. It's been upheld by the trades, so a lot of times when people think about apprentices, they think about plumbers, carpenters, welders, although what's interesting is young people who are familiar with the show The Apprentice actually think about it in the more desk-oriented position, which is fascinating and fabulous. But we're now seeing this diversification. Again, occupations, employers, and most importantly, apprentices are being more diverse. In the United States now, we have, because of this effort that I helped drive, that happened during the Obama administration to start, that continued in the Trump administration, and that has persisted in the Biden administration, we now have a Chicago Apprenticeship Network that was created by Zurich Insurance Group and Aon, a British company, and Accenture, that has over 85 companies in it, in the financial services area, but other areas as well. We have in New York City, Mayor Adams just launched a big effort in partnership with the CEO Jobs Council, where his goal for modern youth apprenticeship is to have over 3,000 students in New York finance, tech, and business operations. Colorado has CareerWise Colorado that now is spread all over the United States, that ranges from manufacturing, financial services, and business operations jobs. Now, most places in the United States in high school, in most places, how it's being deployed is post-high school in partnership with community colleges because of the rigidity in the K-12 system. But we are seeing that in some places it is more youth-focused. I remember sitting at the Aerospace Joint Apprenticeship Committee annual certificates, graduation. Anybody here ever see like the NBA or the football draft? Right, a couple of people? Imagine that for high schools into aerospace jobs. That's what they do every year. And I sat about this distance from you, Rabbi Morrow, about that distance from this woman as her son got drafted by an apprenticeship company. She had tears streaming down her face. And I went up to her afterwards and I said, it's clearly very emotional for you. Talk to me about where that's coming from. And she said, my son, I couldn't have afforded anything for him, for his future, but he now has a viable future. And it was an extraordinary moment to see and feel how it's spreading in the United States. But we're not there yet. We need some really big cultural shifts for us to truly succeed. More businesses need to go from being consumers of talent to producers of talent. We need apprenticeship to go from a stigma to having status. We need folks to think about what are the skills instead of just the degrees that are needed for jobs. We need to go from college and higher ed and post-secondary is this, and an apprenticeship is dead end to permeable. We need to go from one and done to lifelong learning, and we need to go from individual programs to whole systems. Now, if I would ask you to close your eyes for a moment, I want you to imagine what it could look like with 100% of our citizens being lifelong career ready and future ready. Having a society where we have an improved quality of life, lifespan, and overall satisfaction for all, and where we work to live, we don't live to work. Where we have declines in crime and income inequality. And where the economic benefits are that companies have the talent they need. They have increased appeal as an investment destination, and we lower talent import costs. Open your eyes. That's what expanding the paths does. I am so proud of the work that I and my team did as an ambassador to catalyze this apprenticeship renaissance across the United States, including here in Washington State, in partnership with Governor Inslee through Career Connect Washington, during and after my time, and really help more people access the American dream. And I want to thank you, because the work that you are doing to support the Hebrew Free Loan Association does make a profound difference. No matter what type of post-secondary degree young people are pursuing and people are pursuing throughout their lives. So, again, thank you so much for your support of this amazing organization and for working arm in arm for expanding the paths to the American dream. Thank you.
Your reflections on where our country can go, and it is this organization that is part of that dream in helping fund students for not just higher education, but vocational training as well. I wholeheartedly agree. The self-respect in Europe varies dramatically to here in terms of non-higher education degrees and professions, and it needs to change. I want to get the show moving here. I'd like to bring up Rabbi Jim Morell. Rabbi Morell is a member of the Hebrew Free Loan Rabbinic Advisory Board. He has served our Northwest Jewish community for almost 50 years. He currently serves as Rabbi of Congregation Beit Havarim, as well as the Rabbi Emeritus at B'nai Torah, and on a lesser but very important note, he was the lead at the Brit for my son Theo, who's here today. Rabbi Morell.
Thank you so much. You know, we have two kids. One went the traditional path of college and graduate school and became a nurse practitioner, but one went the route of apprenticeship. And now she serves as the cantor and Temple as the training as an apprentice. So both are great models. You know, a special word of thanks to a very, very dear friend, Mara. We would not be here today without Mara. Thank you so much. She is a real light in our community, and hope you'll be doing this job for a long, long time to come. I know you do it out of love and out of dedication. I think that even those here who are fairly well versed in Torah may not realize that there is one verse in the Torah that the entire Hebrew Free Loan enterprise is predicated on. One verse in the Torah, which covers the four essential elements of the concept of the Hebrew Free Loan Association here and throughout the world. From the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus. And it's very clear, 4 words in this verse in the Pasuk. Im kesev talveh, when you make a loan. When you make a loan, right there in the Torah, focusing on lending as the primary source of tzedakah. And it says, et ami, to my people. That is appropriate to have a Jewish-focused loan society to support our people, the Jewish people. Et ami, my people. Et he'ani, imak, for those who are in need among you. Obviously, when we give loans, it's to people who have legitimate and pressing needs. We're not giving it out pell-mell. This is people like Ozzy and others who have legitimate needs that they can benefit from the loan. It says, Lo tiyeh lo l'anosha. Don't do it as a for-profit creditor, not as a bank. It says, Lo tisimun alav neshef. Don't give for interest. Interest-free. Right there in the Torah. One verse says it all. Lending to the Jewish people, me, those in need. Don't be a creditor like a bank, but lend without interest. Right there in the Torah. So we're not fulfilling a enterprise that goes back 100 years or 130 years or 200 years. The free loan is something that goes back to the very Torah from Sinai. It's an amazing thing. And interesting, in the Torah, it doesn't even talk about tzedakah as giving a gift. No. There are elements of that in the Torah, but it focuses on lending. Why? Because giving a loan provides dignity to those who receive it. So, Maura and all the others here, Harry, dear friend Harry, you're doing sacred work. You are fulfilling the Torah. This is tzedakah. Lending is a primary mechanism for tzedakah, according to the Torah. Now, I've spoken to some of the board members. We have instituted a few times we actually do give scholarships as gifts, which is appropriate. Nothing wrong with that. But our main focus is lending to those in need. Who will repay those loans? And then we'll take that money and lend it to another person from generation to generation. Now, some of you have already made your gifts listed here, but it's not a one-time thing. Every year we renew it. I would like to encourage you to think about whatever amount you were planning to give for this fiscal year, and think about increasing it. I'm not going to tell you how much or how to do it. Maybe add another zero would be, or maybe some other way. But if you can do something to help this organization continue to thrive, believe me, it is truly a mitzvah. Thank you very much.
Until next year, Lady Joy.